everybody, and welcome to this episode of Creative Fuel for Underdogs. Although, as of January 1st, we're going through a transformation, my business coach, which was on one of my previous shows, my brand coach, he said we should change the name of the show. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be switching over to Creativity for Success, which is the brand I've been using for all of my business services. So I'm really excited to have on the show today with me Tyler Bohinc.
Hello, so great to be on here.
Yeah, so Tyler, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Tyler Bohinc, like Julie said. I am a uh, creative at heart. Everything I do has a little bit of creativity in it, and really my role is to help clients at Advan Creative grow strategically through SEO and other digital channels. My background is in the SEO and web design world. I spent nearly a decade working with clients from startups to Fortune 1000, trying to understand how we can really grow their online presence in different channels. So it's been a really exciting career. I've worked with so many great different types of clients, learning about things from booksellers to extruders that I would never have really had the experience of learning about before. So it's definitely been rewarding in that sense, and also being able to use my creativity in the business world has really unlocked a lot for me. So yeah, it's great to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And we hear a little squeaking in the background. Can you introduce that new noise?
Yes, that's Poppy. She's my new adopted dog. I don't know where she went now. I'll try and make sure she gets a guest appearance tonight.
Okay. Yeah, she's adopted as of yesterday, right? Do you want to tell us her
Yes,
story?
yes. Yeah, we we have a daughter, my wife and I, who just turned 2 on Christmas, and we recently lost our dog that we had for about 8 years, and um, we started looking for new dogs. We were really interested and our daughter Jessie loves dogs, loves animals, so we knew this was going to be something we wanted to do. And we were looking at some dogs, looking at a lot of different adoption agencies and humane societies and things like that. Even set up a couple meet and greets. And then all of a sudden we found Poppy here at One of a Kind in Akron. And she was being fostered and found out she is great with kids. She's so gentle, very sweet. She's about 4 and came to Akron via Kentucky. They found her just on the street, pregnant with a bunch of puppies, and scooped her up, brought her to Akron, and nursed her back to health. And she was in a foster home for about 3 months. And we met her yesterday and just fell in love. Jessie loved her too, so we brought her home, and she's already made herself her own spot on the recliner. That's her spot now. She's definitely been welcomed with open arms, and it's been exciting to have her. She's an English coonhound, so very different from our Yorkie that we had before, but a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and very fun.
That's a beautiful thing. It really is. Everybody's finding their homes, and not only she's finding a home with you, but you're finding a space in your life for her. It's beautiful. Before we move on to what's going on in my world, let's just talk about a little bit about your creativity outside of working with clients and loving to work with clients. So,
The other half of my life outside of SEN web development is music. I have been a musician since I was 12, so I'm not going to do the math on that anymore now that I'm getting older. But I play guitar and a lot of other stringed instruments. I've played in bands ever since I could. So all through high school was in rock bands, metal bands, punk bands, jazz bands, anything I could get into. And now I have my own solo project. I'm in a bluegrass and kind of acoustic jazz band, as well as teach guitar and banjo and ukulele to students here locally in Northeast Ohio, which has been really rewarding, and surprising how much I use music, especially jazz, and improvisation in my everyday life outside of music. It's really the lifeblood of how I operate, and how I see the world. So that's a huge part of who I am, and what's important to me.
I think it's so awesome. Like, and I just, because obviously from the show, everything's about creativity and just exploring what you can do with that and how far you can take it. So, just to bring you up to speed, my goal by the end of the year was to be in a role where I wasn't as much client facing, like not, 8 hours a day having to do account management and working with clients. It was more about just being available to one, develop the programs that we want to develop. So it's ended up being 3 master classes in creativity, one for leadership, one for marketers, and then the last one is for underdogs for everybody else. And so those classes are under development, and then also writing a book, and we should have the draft finished very shortly, and then get ready to fine tune it and then final publish. And the book's about building the happiest workplace in America and what it takes from leadership down to build a creative culture, and then really pushing that the with the rise in AI, that creativity is the number one soft skill that needs to be developed in employees to be able to have have a flexible business that can pivot and change as the marketplace pivots and changes. So Tyler is the last piece in the puzzle that allows me to do that. And so my goal was January 1st, I would start uh, working in a bullet journal and start just fine tuning all of these programs and all of these ideas. But that didn't happen. What happened was I woke up January 1st, 3 o'clock in the morning, writing jokes. And it was the weirdest thing. And I came into work and I'm like, I'm writing jokes in the middle of the night. And Tyler's like, I mean, everybody was like, she's nuts. Because I felt like I was going crazy. My husband thought I was going crazy because I'd get up and I'd go to work. And that first so January 1st, was obviously a holiday. And that night I had my whole family over, my sister and my kids. And I'm like, I wrote 4 jokes this morning. Can I do stand-up comedy for you? So while the Ohio State game was on, everybody was watching the TV. I put a chair, like a high chair, like a tall stool next to the TV. And I'm sitting there and I'm like just reading my jokes, but I bombed terribly because, my kids are like, Mom, they're statements, they're stories, they're not jokes. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to do jokes yet. So anyway,
You got to test it somewhere.
yeah. So then I don't know what happened, but, I was saying, well, what if I do open mic? And then you said, what do you say? You did open mic like a year ago?
Yeah, a couple years ago, just to get out of my shell and do something a little different,
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to,
and bombed.
yeah. So I wanted to test it. And I'm like, the least I'm going to get out of it is to know that before I start, because I want to do like keynote speaking and I want to do TED Talks and everything. And so before I do that, and I did a presentation for Cozy last year, and I stumbled through it. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I'm like, at least if I got really good at stand up, if I did comfortable, not good, but comfortable with stand up, I'd be fine with my keynote. That'd be like a breeze, because you're not being judged like you are with stand up. So I'm like, minimum. So I booked a stand up gig at Funny Stop where Tyler had done his. And I went to the team and I said, should I be dropping F bombs? Like, it doesn't feel right. I don't swear. Should I be dropping F bombs? And Tyler, what did you say?
I said the more the
The
better.
more the better. So I went in there and I dropped the F bombs. And guess what? We're not supposed to drop F bombs because swearing and, vulgar humor is too easy. You got to really work on your jokes. You got to be comfortable not using those things. So anyway, so I got told off and I'm a rule follower. And Tyler, what are you?
I'm a rule breaker.
That's
It
right.
just happens that way.
We complement each other nicely.
Yeah.
So I thought doing stand up, I'd get this out of my system, like, oh, this is just some crazy phase I'm going through, I can't sleep, whatever. But it didn't disappear. So I scheduled an appointment with the medium, and you've heard about the medium on the, on the different shows. And I use her for business strategy because it's like when you're like, I've got these ideas of things I should be doing. They're kind of crazy. They're kind of out there. Should I do it? And she kind of guides you. And like up until now, it's been like, should I start promoting what I'm doing? Should I start promoting what I'm doing? Should I start sending these press releases out? And it's always been no, no, wait, your infrastructure is not in place. Your infrastructure is not in place. That's what it kept coming back. And so now I've got Tyler. I'm like, it sure as heck looks like I've got the infrastructure in place. So I'm like, I'll talk to her this weekend. So I scheduled a call with her, and I'm like, is my infrastructure in place? Should I go ahead? And she's like, yes, you're ready. Go ahead, start sending out press releases, start sending out everything. And then I mentioned, I've been waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and this is what's happening. And she said, oh, well, the spirits come at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, those are people from the other side. And she said, you're channeling a comedian. And I'm like, what? But this is really good because this is part of my creative flow. Everything's about the creative flow. Everything is about getting out of your head, realizing all your misery, all your unhappiness is created by all these crazy thoughts that we have. Just bypass them, get out of your head and live in the flow. Tyler, what does that feel like? You're a musician.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, as I was thinking about this, comedy is, at its core improvisational, right? It's especially when we talk about big comedians, how they come up, and there's a big pipeline through SNL, and before SNL, it's Second City in Chicago, and Second City is mostly improv, and a lot of people that before they go to Second City, they're at improv groups and improv theaters before that, um, and that's all bluegrass, jazz, and my most recent obsession, which is the Grateful Dead, is very improvisational. There's structure, there's form, and then it's a free for all. Um, and I think that is kind of the secret weapon to a lot of things. It's problem solving on the fly. It's coming up with creative solutions that you may not have otherwise thought of, just because your ear hears something and goes, "I need to investigate that a little bit more." Or you're having a conversation and you bring up something and it's pretty comical and it's, oh, I need to investigate that more and go down that path. So it's that spirit of improvisation, I think, is prevalent in everything. You can watch an NBA game, and yes, a coach will call plays or a point guard will call plays, but a lot of times the plays that catch people by surprise are the ones that have been improvised. That something changes, something's a little bit different. So I think that creative flow of being in the moment, and not saying no and being open to exploring is really that secret, that people don't realize is a big part of everything from business to creative expression.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the thing is the ability to do something with it, which is people have ideas, but they're afraid to take, oh, let me try that. Like it was so when I started telling people I've done stand up, they were like, "What?" At my age, And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, I know it's crazy, but it's the idea of doing something with it. So the person I'm channeling is Chris Farley.
Love it.
And why is Chris Farley so special to you?
He's very special to me. My wife showed me Tommy Boy a couple of years ago. I grew up on a farm, so I had a very sheltered childhood, and she's shown me a lot of great movies. And I remember seeing Tommy Boy for the first time and just being gobsmacked. Chris Farley's performance, being in Ohio, being in a small town, trying to save the factory, all of these elements that are really important to me. Going up against the bigwigs and trying to help, fellow workers out is really important to me. And Chris Farley's spirit of comedy is so unique. And I think that there's really only a few people that I've ever seen that kind of operate that way. And I think my first foray into that was my love for Jim Carrey, who is just as wacky and maniacal as someone like Chris Farley. And I also thought it was interesting. I was remembering this the other day that in my first interview with Advan, someone asked me what my favorite movie was, and I talked about Tommy Boy and Chris Farley. And now for you to be channeling Chris Farley feels like a very serendipitous moment.
Doesn't
So
it? Yeah.
yeah,
So it started out like I found this out Saturday, and today is what is today? Tuesday? Yeah,
Tuesday.
it goes so quick in my world.
Yeah.
So anyway, I found this out Saturday. Um, we had an event, a business event Saturday night, so nothing really happened Saturday night. I wasn't in a place where I could do anything with it. So, and part of this, the creative flow is you put the problem, you put you want what you want out there the night before you go to bed. So Sunday night, I put it in there. I'm like, okay, Chris, I know it's you now. What am I supposed to be doing with this? And so, and you invite them to come in while you're sleeping, and they kind of come in through your subconscious, like, people that are influencing that idea flow, that inner wisdom that you're connecting to. So anyway, he wakes me up at 1 o'clock in the morning and starts writing skits. And so I was writing jokes before, and now they turn into skits. So I know for sure it's him because I don't think skits. I never thought skits. So he wants me to go find his doppelganger or an impersonator that's him. And then I'm me on stage, and he's like acting out what I'm talking about. And like the first one is I'm like singing kind of like what's his name with the guitar that sung on Saturday Night Live with him? I'm kind of just drew a blank. Anyway, it'll come to me in a second. Anyway, so he wants me to sing this whole like song about being too soon, but it's about him dying too soon, but he's making fun of it, like too soon, like too soon to have humor about it. And then it's too soon and like singing all just too soon over and over again. And he's just acting the whole thing out like on stage behind me. And then he wants to be like the human emoji. And so then I just say words and he's doing like a human emoji behind me or to the side of me. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
It's like,
I love that.
and then, so
I'm just picturing the
oh, the
Chippendales,
Chippendales,
the
yeah,
dance he did
right? He wants
while you talk about stuff.
yeah, he
Yeah.
wants to be a human emoji, and then the next one is, so I consider myself a motivational speaker, but I'm not really a motivational speaker because 'cause I'm just telling you what you already know, It's not really motivational, but, and he considers himself a motivational speaker, but in the complete opposite, transverse, the opposite, and, like, we both come out in the same, pantsuit.
Really Chippendale
I
like.
know, right? We come in the same pantsuit, but it's literally the same pantsuit, and when we turn around, it's like 6 cents on the back, like the whole
Oh my God. That's
I did, and
incredible.
he's telling me this stuff, and I'm, like, laughing out loud, and then, the next one
That's how you know it's Chris
well, and
Farley.
the same thing, we might do it with the dress because he wants to do Disney princesses next. And you're like,
Of
"What
course.
is this?
Why
What
not?
is this?" And you can just see oh gosh, I'm laughing so much I'm getting hot. But it's like you can just see it, like, you can see in your head everything, and, like, these sort of things I've never experienced this before. I've never thought skits. Like, whenever I've thought about creating a skit, it's always been so dumb, but this is so dumb it's brilliant. And you're like like and so I started writing this because I started this bullet journal and I'm on page 56 now of the bullet journal in since January
Wow.
1st. I know, my God, isn't it ridiculous? So oh, and so we're going to do the matrix together too. I was talking about the game of
Nice.
life. We're both going to come in our matrix outfits and do the matrix. And then Disney
I would love to see Chris Farley doing dodging the bullets
Yeah, yeah,
like in the
right? We got
Matrix.
on high wires and everything, so, I was supposed to put out press releases today, and so the one of the press releases based on this is, I'm looking for, a Chris Farley impersonator, send me your video, and all these are Chris Farley auditions, okay? So it's there no one is, like, set in the Chris Farley space, but they're auditions for everybody that wants to do this, so it's a constant audition, so it's all fun and it's improv, and they haven't had time to prepare it other than here listening to this podcast and going, "Oh, I want to do that."
That'll work
So we
though.
need these expandable costumes because there's a very it's obviously big, but how big? It's, that's where the expandable
It's
costumes
amazing.
came, so they could have different Chris Farleys. So it's hilarious. It's hilarious stuff. So anyway, so that's so the putting out a press release looking for one an inexpensive costume designer and two call for Chris Farley impersonators. So that's the press releases are going out today, and it's going to be weird, but you know.
I can't wait to see what that brings
Isn't
in.
it funny though? It's like I can't stop.
Yeah.
You're like I can't stop laughing about it. I'm like, oh, that is hilarious. And it's not. It's not me because I don't think like this. This isn't me. So it's just
Well, and I think that that's kind of like, the whole what we were talking about before about that creative spirit, that improvisational spirit
yeah,
is about being comfortable taking
yeah,
risks, being comfortable being uncomfortable and seeing how far that goes, right? Because it's, like you were saying, you're on page 56. Like that means that you're continuing to investigate it. It's continuing to explore and open that up versus, well, I had that idea, I tried it, let's move on to something else.
yeah, yeah,
It's someone, I can't remember who it was, but this quote that I love about improvisational music is that the definition of improvising is the courage to keep going.
yeah,
Whether you get it wrong, whether it takes a left turn, you keep going,
yeah,
right? And that's the beauty of it. And what's exciting is you're charting the unknown.
yeah. A note from our sponsor. Yes, it's me again. Um, Hire me for your leadership training to bring a creative culture into your business, or join me at a leadership workshop at treetops.com this fall. If you need a keynote speaker or you need an innovative workshop for your next conference, go to creativityunleashed.co and hire me. And then the last thing that he wants is he wants to make between Sandusky and Cuyahoga Falls, which anybody that's watched Tommy Boy knows that's where it all happens, is to make the third city. So, and it's for people to come learn how to flow creativity, improv, learn how to channel, and but the key is that it is drug free. So it's for people that want to be around creatives, they want to be around bands, they want to be around comedians, they want to be around that SNL vibe and everything. But they know that they can't if they hang around that community, they're going to end up where Chris is. And so much talent, and there's so much, and that's what Chris is. He's like, I've got all this material. I want to get this material out there. I still want to get it out there. So we're creating this channel where people can get the material, hear the material, have it flow through, get it out, but understand that anybody that's been involved in any type of, drugs, like especially like the fentanyl now, you have to physically remove yourself. If you're around those groups, it just is, it's so tough. Like extended family, he's a musician, and of their 10 friends that he's been with, his bands, everything, all 10 are gone now from fentanyl. So it just, and he knows, he's got kids and everything. He knows it's, if he wants to produce music, he's got to find safe spaces to do it. And so that's what Chris wants to develop here. One, an outlet to channel all this talent that's on the other side that wants to get their stuff out. And then two, how to do it in a place that keeps people alive. So,
Well, and I think that's important because there is a kind of a Venn diagram of being creative and exploring things like drugs. And I think that a lot of times creatives think that exploring drugs is the way to be creative instead of letting the creativity be the leader.
mhm.
Um, and I think that's really important to, yeah, not burn out. Is to really let the creativity guide you.
So it's something different. And I've always had this, even when I started like years ago, it was like, I'd love to make this part of the country like the creative center of the world. I just, there's so many great bands that came from here. There's so much, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Inventors Hall of Fame. It just, there's so much here that just says this should be it. I mean, we've got LeBron.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is it. So this
Yeah.
is the vision. So this is, I'm like, yeah. And I don't want to travel. I don't want to be on stage all around the world. I want people to come here to see it and to feel it and to experience it. So it's like, it's a different way of doing it. So then we'll have to
Yeah.
put you,
That Midwestern
and
creativity.
you'll be our opening gig, you and your band. Some original.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get everyone fired up.
Yes, yes. So anyway, well, thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you. Do you have any closing words or inspiration for our audience that's interested in any of this?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This was great and a lot of fun. And I think that, kind of going with the central theme of this, the only thing I would really say is let creativity guide you and don't be afraid to take risks and see where they go.
That's right. That's right. So if people wanted to find your music online, where do they find you?
You can go to my website. It's just my first and last name.com. So Tyler Bohinc, TYLERBOHINC.com. You can find out about my solo projects as well as some of the band stuff that I'm doing. We've got a couple local shows, and my band is going to be hitting the recording studio this spring. So we should have some music coming out this year, which is really exciting.
Well, thank you again, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you because you're the reason I can actually do more of this and explore it, finish my classes, finish the book, inspire leaders to bring creativity into their organizations and just see the impact it has on growing their businesses. So thank you again. And look for us on, juliestout.com or advancreative.com if you need help with your SEO. Right, Tyler?
That's
You'll be
right.
talking to
Yeah,
Tyler,
don't be afraid to give us a call.
right? Yeah, I'll be talking to Tyler. Okay. Thank you. See ya.
Thanks so
Okay.
much.